The Lord of the Rings. The Rings of Power star Maxim Baldry explains Isildur's inner struggle. Set in the Second Age of Middle-earth, The Rings of Power brings back a few characters audiences already know and love from Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies, such as Galadriel and Elrond. The immortal elves were previously portrayed by Cate Blanchett and Hugo Weaving in those movies. Now, though, Morfydd Clark and Robert Aramayo have taken over the roles in The Rings of Power, which is set thousands of years prior. Other returning characters from Lord of the Rings are Elendil and his son, Isildur, who didn't have as much screen time as Galadriel and Elrond in the films, though are undoubtedly recognizable names for Tolkien readers and avid fans of Jackson's adaptations. In the Fellowship of the Rings prologue during the Battle of the Last Alliance, Isildur, played by Harry Sinclair, defeats Sauron by severing his finger and taking the One Ring, which later corrupts him. Introduced in The Rings of Power Episode 3, Isildur is just a Númenórean sailor who doesn't know what he wants to do with his life, making for a vastly different version of the character. In a new featurette released by Prime Video, Baldry shares his own take on Isildur's internal conflict. The Rings of Power star discusses how Isildur doesn't really fit in with his fellow Númenórean sailing cadets like Antamo and Valinor, which causes conflict between them, as Isildur is yearning for something more in life. Read what Baldry says below. While Isildur is a name that many associate with defeating Sauron, Rings of Power find him long before he is ready to change the fate of Middle-earth. In his younger years, Isildur is stubborn and conflicted. He doesn't fit in with his friends Antamo and Valandil, who aspire to join the Sea Guard. This causes conflict between the cadets, as Baldry explains. This conflict eventually culminates in The Rings of Power Episode 4, when Isildur gets himself and his friends kicked out of the Naval Academy. In a way, Isildur's current story is quite realistic and, in its own way, inspirational. In the future, he goes on to do incredible things, yet he still grapples with relatable conflicts in his early years. This great Middle-earth hero has become law-normal man in The Rings of Power. Despite getting kicked out of the cadet training program, things may be looking up for Isildur and his friends. During the final scene of The Rings of Power Episode 4, they all decide to join the war effort and fight for Queen Regent Miriel against the orcs in the Southlands. Though Isildur has yet to figure out his overall path, this expedition should give him a clear purpose for the time being and get him one step closer to changing the world. Join Amazon Prime, watch thousands of movies and TV shows anytime, start free trial now. Source: Prime Video YouTube.